What's going on, everybody? Episode 22 is here, and it is coming at you real shortly. But first, I just would like to thank everybody, whether you are a patron on Patreon or just a one-time donor, for helping out Room 9 financially. We are slowly getting people who realize this is going to be around for a while and want to help spread our message, and you guys are the best. I am going to be releasing once a month now, probably starting in May, an audio journal where I just kind of discuss certain topics and it's kind of going on in my life. So be on the lookout for that. I also had an awesome week of finding out the suspension on my license wasn't lifted and spent a few hours in Cheektowaga jail. And that was it was a trying few days here between my ex-wife trying to use the kids to continuously hurt me and the Cheektowaga police thing. It was a challenging week, but I got through it. I'm back on top of things. I almost got lost in self-pity for a day and a half, but I came out of it. And that's what we gotta do when shit happens, is find a way to stay positive and learn from it. The lesson I learned from it, the biggest one I learned from it, is to make sure you follow up on things and double check that things got done correctly and not just assume they did, because that's what happens. You end up getting arrested. Anyway, in this episode coming up, I sit down with a good friend, Jamus Winston, and we discuss certain small behaviors that can add up over time that are signs of a relapse coming. So whether you're an addict, you can look for those in yourself. If you're a loved one listening to this, you can look for those in your loved one and try to stop things before they get way out of proportion again, because nobody wants that. But anyway, if you would like to help out and support Room 9 financially with whatever amount you see fit, you can go to room9podcast.com and go to our support page, and you can do it one time, or you can sign up for Patreon and be a patron monthly. So that's your call. If you sign up for Patreon, you also, depending on how much you want to give to Room 9 monthly, you get something in return. So whether it's choosing an episode topic, whether it's coming on an episode for 10-15 minutes or whatever it may be, whether it is getting some stickers, getting access to our audio journal, or deleted scenes, you can get it depending on how much you decide to donate. Other than that, get on our contact page, fill out a form so you can stay up to date with our blogs and our podcasts when they get released. And that is all, folks. Let us know what you think. Give me some feedback. I love those messages I get throughout the week. They're the most encouraging thing ever. And they usually come when I am feeling down and out, when I'm feeling negative about the podcast, when I'm thinking, oh, this isn't going to make a difference in anybody's lives. Those messages always seem to come through. So anyway, here you go. Episode 22 with Jamus Winston. Hope you guys enjoy.
All right, you ready to go?
Yeah, we're
rolling. Are you waiting on me?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
okay.
I think we're good. We got a good sound here.
Okay.
And
Here we go. We're getting into it. I'm gonna put away the phone. I'm gonna go AFK for a bit. I don't know if you know what that means, but it means away from keyboard.
Very nice. Very nice.
Were you ever into the online gaming?
Not really.
No. I really enjoyed it for quite some time. Part of the addictive behaviors.
My new instead of watching TV right now, I play Ghost Recon on a computer.
Oh, bro. And I'm telling you, it seriously is part of like addictive behaviors, because that's what we're going to talk about today. But let's just segue.
Addictive behaviors.
If I'm playing a video game, dude, I am in it. Like, so
Time flies.
Example, Destiny. Sorry, I can never remember. I think Infinity. Anyway, the game Destiny came out a while ago. Then Destiny 2 came out, and I got it on Xbox One. So I grabbed it, and dude, I stopped playing every other game. Like, I used to grind out hard on like Black Ops and Diablo 3. And
What's Destiny?
Destiny is a mix of a first-person shooter and
A multi-massive.
yeah, and also it's like
multiplayer,
RPG, like role play,
Okay.
like you build your character, and it's like first-person shooter, and you like get guns, and it's in space, which is amazing.
And it's called Destiny?
Destiny.
Doing a plug.
Yeah, you gotta get it on your Xbox One because PlayStation's a joke.
It is, I agree.
I agree. Or PC. PC's the shit.
Oh, that's right. Technically, this computer is a gaming laptop.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. I'll borrow it later.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, that's gonna happen.
That was the biggest thing with this fucking car impounded thing, dude. My computer.
Your laptop was in it?
Everything was in my bag. Everything I had.
That would drive me nuts, bro.
Yeah, I'm glad that didn't get stolen.
Seriously. Well, and that's weird. They took that stuff we talked about, but they didn't
Yeah.
take your fucking laptop. Maybe they were like, "Oh, that's obvious that we took the
Yeah,
laptop."
that's an obvious one.
That's like,
Yeah.
we're going to press charges. But that's the thing. It's the police impound. Are they going to charge their own
Yeah,
people?
and then
No.
get this, they were cash only.
Of course.
It's like,
It's
come on,
such a
seriously?
scam,
It's so
dude.
fucked up. And I didn't even tell you this, when I got pulled over, I seen he was following me.
Right.
So I was like, all right, I'm going to stop at the Sunoco. So I was in a spot in Sunoco.
you couldn't
and
get
he
out fast enough?
He still fucking made me get the car
Yeah.
towed. Like, that's such bullshit,
Yeah, dude, that is bullshit. And if you can, so for future reference, if you can get in a parking spot and get out of your car and go inside, then they can't do a traffic stop.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
we used to do that all the time. Like
I would have been running.
You
from
would
the
have been?
cops. Yes, if I would have got out and ran in.
Anyway,
into
we
the
used to
store.
do that all the time. Like you see a cop will be like, "I'm gonna rip into this gas station, go inside real quick," and then they can't do a traffic stop. The police is the largest mob out there.
It is.
It really is.
It's fucking bullshit.
Well, I guess it would be the enforcers for the largest mob, which is the government, New York State.
That's true. You know, the cop the whole time is,
That's right.
oh, I don't want to hold you up. I don't want to hold you up, so we'll get this done quick. We'll
So
get
I'm
this
gonna impound your car.
dude, come on.
Okay.
You seem to be doing good with yourself, so I'm not going to hold you up here, so I'll get you out. I mean, and
Does
dude, he got me in, processed, and out within like an hour. Believe it or not.
Oh wow!
It
But
was
your car
quick.
was still impounded.
But yeah, all this money, all this shit. I missed my court-sanctioned class because of it. That's where I was going.
For
It was just,
DV,
the whole
right?
thing was unbelievably stupid.
And you would think that if you were trying to travel to a court-sanctioned class, he wouldn't interfere or impede your ability to do that.
And he did.
I would make a case for that. I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah, I
I
don't
co-
know. I had a
sometimes-
suspended license and I was driving.
Well, whatever. How much is it aggravated? Have you been charged for? Oh, bro,
Yeah.
you're gonna spend the summer in jail.
You know, that's right.
I've had a friend that happened. It was like 7 times.
Yeah,
and they
I
were
was
like,
gonna
"Listen,
say.
you're gonna spend 60 days in."
Yeah,
And then
no,
he was
that's
on a
not
show
happening.
called 90 Days. No, that's not what happened.
They let me go with an appearance in court ticket. I didn't have to pay anything to get out.
That's good. Recognizance is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, so
All right, so let's get into it. So that, and I think I've done some analyzation with my counselor at Horizon Broadway and also my recovery coach, who we talked to a few weeks back. And I think it stems a lot from stress. These addictive behaviors that my friend is dealing with is he's under a lot of stress right now. That's what I'm going to use, my friend. Someone who isn't me, like in forums online. Swim.
So I know this guy.
This one guy, someone who isn't
This
me.
one guy I know.
So Swim went to the bank and robbed it. Okay, so addictive behaviors. It's really related to stress. I have a lot going on. I'm not focusing on, like, here's an example I'm going to use. Have you ever, like, tried to clean your house and the whole house is a mess, but instead of, like, working on the bathroom and finishing it and then working on the kitchen and finishing it, you're just, like, frantically running from room to room, picking up, like, one item at a time, washing one dish at a time. It's very ineffective.
Instead of being, all right, I'm going to knock out the kitchen,
Right.
dishes, garbage, floor, next room.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, A, I'm not focused, and B, I don't have a plan that I'm executing actively. Yeah, if I clean the house that way, it's going to get done maybe in 3 days, where I could clean it in 40 minutes otherwise. I'm, instead of like taking shortcuts, I'm like taking a long cut around.
A long cut.
I'm taking the scenic route by putting way too many things on my plate because I want to rebuild my life and I want it now, because that's another addictive behavior, is like instant
That's
gratification.
just the world right now, honestly.
Well, yeah, I mean, just look at Burger King.
Everything. Fast food, everything. We want instantly.
Instant gratification is a plague. upon our
And
society.
it has. I believe it's poisoned our mind.
Oh,
To like think
absolutely.
we don't have to work hard to get to something or
Right.
accomplish something. I mean, really.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's more than just like self-entitlement. Like, I deserve this right now. I think
Right.
it's just we're so used to everything being instant downloading, instant
Yep.
watching, instant food, instant everything, that we don't want to take time anymore to learn, to work hard, to fail, to learn from those failures over and over again, and to finally accomplish something.
Yeah. We don't, like, okay, I want a car. I'm not going to save up money because I got to get to work. So I'm going to charge it on a credit card or get a payday loan. Maybe not with a car, but, that's an example.
Yeah.
Or I want this new Xbox, so I'm going to whip out my credit card and pay for overtime and pay $1,000 for a $200 Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so back to let's focus in here. Lack of focus is an issue. I have way too many things on my plate, and I haven't made a plan to so there's things on my plate that are 100% necessary. For example, work. At this point, I've set myself up to where I need to generate income. I have a car, I pay my own rent, I buy my own food. I'm not in a facility anymore. I'm not living with my parents. I'm 32, I'm a grown-ass man. I got to pay for stuff. So work, generating income necessary. So check that off. That I can't get rid of that. School is another one that's been, so Tuesday through Thursday, I go straight from work to school, as you know. And that makes for a long 3 days. And usually by Thursday, I'm like, I can't do it. However, school is another thing that I feel is totally necessary because my entire life, another example of this instant gratification, I've just taken the quickest route to the highest amount of money that I can make in the short term. So entry level call center, boom, $14 an hour. Okay, great. I don't have to go to school and then put in some time to get there and then exceed that exponentially. School I can't eliminate. I'm halfway through it anyway. It's only till June. That's two things I can't eliminate that take up a lot of time. Recovery is a third thing that I got to be honest has been slipping. I mean, I'm doing a lot of things I need to do. So outpatient, I'm not missing any outpatient appointments. I'm doing the recovery coach thing. I haven't done refuge in a few weeks. And now I have a car, so I don't even have to rely on you or James to go.
somebody to
You know
drive,
what I
yeah.
mean? I have a car, I could get up there instantly. But it's on Sunday night and it's on Thursday night. Sunday night, I'm usually hanging with the GF.
The GF.
Who shall
Don't
not
ever
be
say that
named. The GIF. Anyway,
The GF.
I'm usually hanging out, just decompressing from the weekend because I go hard on the weekend, bro. It's another thing I should never
I
say
go
again.
hard on the weekend. What are you, partying?
Yeah, sometimes I'll go to Denny's and just order a Grand Slam.
All you can eat pancakes.
Yeah, or then that'll be at 2 a.m. after I sat in my room and played video games on my phone.
I was gonna say, are you playing video games now? Is that a thing for you?
Yeah, so I got back into just a mobile game that I'm not going to plug. But yeah, and I've noticed I will try to find ways to have waiting periods where I can sit there and play on my phone. So example, today I had my haircut, but I got out of work early at 3:30. My haircut was at 4:30. So I'm okay, I'm going to drive over there instead of going home and coming back or whatever. I just drive over there and sit in the parking lot for an hour playing this game. It's a huge waste of time, but I'm just totally addicted to it.
And it's important, I mentioned in the beginning of this, instead of watching TV, it's important to have things where you can turn your brain off and do shit like that. But it's obviously when you start abusing the shit out of it.
Yes, and let's get down to the balance word. Let's just put it out
The B
there.
word. The
It's
B
a
word's coming
thing,
out.
and that's what we're probably going to end up getting to, because there's things I can't eliminate or I won't eliminate. So that's where we're getting to. Those three things that I just mentioned, recovery, work, and school, are three things that I can't eliminate. Realistically, to live the life I want to live, I can't eliminate those. The next things on the list are taking up time, but they're things that I won't eliminate because they're things that I like to do. So these are the things that I'm rewarding myself with for doing a good job, hanging out with friends, the girlfriend, certain things like that. There's absolutely no way that I'm just going to break up with my girlfriend because I don't have time for her and I need to focus more on work.
No, exactly.
That's true. I really don't have time for her, and a relationship is a huge commitment, just a huge time commitment.
It
Not
is,
even
yeah.
being faithful and fidelity and all that malarkey. Time commitment alone. That's what, a relationship is. But that's another thing that I won't, and that's what I kind of talked about with my outpatient counselor today. That's something I won't eliminate. I could. And
What,
it would
the girlfriend
the
thing?
girlfriend thing, and she pointed out even if you did, you'd probably move on to another one pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the addictive behaviors. Okay, those are just that. Those are stressors, right? And those are things that I think have led up to the manifestation of addictive behaviors.
The stressors.
Yeah. I'm going to go over a bunch of things. Some of them are ones that I experience, and some of them are not. So let's do it that way, like 2 truths and a lie.
Sure.
But in this case, it's probably like 12 truths and a lie.
And 1 half lie.
So you guys decide which one I don't do. Whichever one is the worst, I don't do that one. First of all, what do I want to... Oh, jeez. Okay, let's go with the easiest one first. Reckless driving. And I do it... And here's what I need to clarify. Addictive behaviors is all about intent. So why am I doing that? Because it gives me a rush, and I love the adrenaline rush. My body and my mind has learned that if I floor it down the highway at 95 miles an hour and I'm weaving in and out of traffic,
something's getting released in that brain.
A close call will induce some adrenaline. So that's number one. And we're starting low, okay? That's easy. Like,
reckless driving.
Stop driving recklessly, because I may or may not have gotten into an accident the other day.
I may or may not have gotten into an accident the other day.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Can neither confirm nor deny.
Secondly, let's just get your thoughts on that one first before we move on.
What, the reckless driving?
What do you think?
I don't know. I've never like gotten a kick out of reckless driving.
Really? Never.
I've never like driven like that and be like, oh yeah.
Have you? You paint this picture of me like eyes roll back in the back of my head, driving down the highway, shuddering.
That's it. Yeah, it's just like that.
But have you never had a close call driving and had that adrenaline? You know what I mean? Like, oh, that guy.
I know what you're talking about.
Okay,
yes.
So that's what I'm chasing. So if you can't relate to that, fine, whatever. It is the intent behind the action that is important, and in that case, I know why I'm doing it, or I might be doing it. It might be my friend who's doing it too. That one I'll own up to, because
that
one's not
bad.
That's
doing it, but somebody could be doing it.
We have no idea. There's so many people that could possibly be doing it out there. We don't know. All right, let's move on to the second one. This one, we're gonna start getting into some worse areas. So shoplifting.
Ooh.
When I was in active addiction, I will fully admit...
You were a big shoplifter. Most addicts were. Again, I mean, I was never going to a store person and steal shit.
Well...
I just didn't do it. I don't know why. I mean, I've broken houses.
Right.
But
I was just going to say.
It was never into the store.
You weren't innocent. You definitely...
I'm definitely not painting a picture of innocence here, by all means.
No.
I wouldn't be doing this podcast if I had any kind of innocence going on here.
There's no need to qualify. We're not AA. We're not in AA. Anyway, so I used to boost so much stuff. That was like my main hustle, and it's a skee-ball thing to do, but I was like really good at it. I've got this innocent baby face. You know, nobody thinks this guy's going into Walmart.
No, that's true.
And stealing like 5 game controllers and taking them across the street to GameStop. I'm not sure if someone did that, but that may have happened. I can
neither confirm nor deny this.
Again, this might have been my friend.
I knew a guy that did this before.
But so yeah, and I'm obviously it's not been to that extent that this person has been doing that.
Recently it hasn't been. Yes.
Recently, no. But the problem is, and here's where I beat myself up, I'm not in active addiction, so I don't have something clouding my clouding my brain function that I can fall back on and say, I did
this because I was dope sick.
Right, classic, like I was drunk, that's why I did that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have that to fall back on. I'm clear-minded, totally sober, and having like urges to steal stuff from stores. Nothing that I couldn't afford. That's the other thing. I have a great job. I'm making decent money. Like, I can buy anything I want or need. I mean, to a degree. What do you think about that one?
I get the shoplifting one. I mean, I get them all, honestly.
Yeah.
The driving thing never did it for me. But I remember, like, I would get that rush leaving a house, walking out, knowing, all right, I got away with this.
Yes, exactly.
And I'm about to get high.
Exactly. That is a beautiful thing. In your mind. I'm not saying to do that.
No, yes.
You know what I mean?
I know exactly what
This is a rough episode.
So, what'd you say? It's a rough episode?
It's a rough episode.
Why?
I'm feeling very put on the spot and guilty here.
No, shut up.
Most of these are my friends,
this
though.
Guilt bullshit.
Most of these are my
all
friends.
These are your friends.
These are all my friends doing these. I'm not really doing
But no, it's something, it's a common effing occurrence where you find people or addicts in recovery who are still can't get rid of these behaviors when they get stressed or whatever other reason it is.
Yeah, whatever.
Like, for instance, there was a group of girls from the village that got caught. They would just go steal clothes for the hell of it.
Right.
Like, they just enjoyed doing it.
Yeah. And it gets you something, like it nets you new clothes, and then also gives you the rush of getting away with it. And so that's the problem. That's the intent, is where the action becomes an addictive behavior. So I'm sure there's people that can relate to that, and I'm sure there's people that are going to, sever the ties with me because I'm a shoplifter. Anyways, I've been doing a lot better with it over the past week or two. So because I'm aware of all these things, you're familiar.
That's huge.
Yeah, and you're familiar with the concept of becoming the watcher, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you become that, I'm not saying I'm watching myself all day long.
No.
There might be 5% of the day.
Where you're doing it.
And that's probably a gracious estimate. But when I do, I'm noticing that I'm doing these things. And it's usually when I do it, it's usually when I'm doing something that is alarming or a red flag. Because that is something that like immediately takes me to why. Let me just observe this. It's hard to be non-judgmental, especially because it's like, this is a shitty thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And vice versa. Like, this is an awesome thing to do because I'm about to get a rush. You know what I mean? So, like, just non-judgmentally look at the thought, look at the feeling behind the thought that's driving the action. So that's big. And that is something I would encourage, like, everyone to do, is try to spend some time during the day, if it's when you wake up, if it's throughout the day, consciously being the person who's observing.
Watching. I mean, there's so many people, and this goes outside of recovery, that do not do that. It's self-awareness. And
Absolutely.
so many people do not have it. In this house alone right now, in this Oxford house, 90% of the people have no self-awareness of anything.
You're absolutely right. And in the AA Good Book, it talks about how that's not enough. Self-awareness is not enough to get better, to get well. And
no, it's the beginning.
Right, and I partially agree with that.
Obviously, it's not enough.
Right, there's no silver bullet here. Anyway, moving on. Shoplifting could be a thing of mine, might not be. Next one.
Oh boy,
this one's gonna be good. When I was about to relapse, okay, I had recently become single. I'd separated from my wife and, well, now ex-wife, and I was living with one of my best friends in my whole life. He's more like a brother than a friend. And we were living together, and he's 100% sober, never drank, never did drugs, like totally straight edge, which is great because at that point in my life, I needed people in my life who were like that to encourage me to continue. I was in recovery at the time that I left. I wasn't doing great. I wasn't working a program, but I was definitely not using. I was on Spoxton. Anyway, but there was no program behind it. So that you're already right there. You're in risky waters if that's all you're doing for your recovery.
Yes.
You're literally just maintaining, not getting sick, I think.
Pretty much, yeah.
And this was in Williamsville. Great place to live, by the way. City of Williamsville, shout out. Wait, is that a town or a city?
Who cares?
It's a villaggio.
It's something.
Who cares? Fuck,
Yeah.
man. Just move on. So down the road from that is, the airport. And by the airport, there's some strip clubs. And right before I relapsed, dude, I was like spending and I was making really good money at the time. Like that was the apex of my career, to be totally honest with you. And I really thought at that point in my life that I was just going to continuously perform on an upward trajectory and I was good to go. Like I was blindsided by this relapse, dude. I had no idea it was coming. Like I had talked myself out of even the thought that it was possible.
Gonna happen.
Yeah. I had friends
I feel like right there is the sign that it's going to happen.
Absolutely.
Once you start thinking you completely got it, it's impossible for you to ever relapse. It's
That's
impossible for you to ever make a mistake or trip up on this. That's exactly when it happens. That's the quote I've had since the beginning of getting outside of jail.
That's what I was going to say.
Because everybody I've heard since the beginning of time who has relapsed had that moment of, I got this. I'm not worried anymore.
Yeah.
I don't have to think about it. I don't have to talk about it. I don't have to do anything about it. I'm good. I can just go into automatic mode and not worry about ever relapsing, and I'm fine. And next thing you know, they're freaking in the gutter. Mm-hmm. They're in a trap house, smoking meth with a prostitute in the bushes.
Why not?
That's right.
Anyway, yeah, so I totally agree that that's where I was at. So anyways, I would it was ridiculous, drop like $300 in a night.
That's crazy.
It is crazy because you get nothing out of it.
No, that's another thing too. I never did. I think I've been to 2 strip clubs when I was 18 or 19.
Right. So obviously it's a disease that I have that's driving this. But anyway, I don't want to fall back on that. It's basic lust. That's all it is. So anyways, that's what there may or may not have been a few times that my friend went to a strip club recently. Alone, which is the
I have
worst.
a friend who did that.
Which is the worst
This
part.
idiot spent almost his whole check in a day and a half. I think he drove to Rochester
Oh God,
with this one chick, and
you're right.
Yeah.
That's right. That happened.
This friend was
That
a real dumbass and
just
set himself up for
happened.
failure. And I'm very grateful that he didn't do that.
And I got to be honest, dude, you were the first person that I was able to like admit that happened.
Yeah,
I was
makes me feel
so
special.
ashamed. I was so ashamed, so embarrassed. Just so like I had this lump sum of money because before that I'd been getting paid every week, so it wasn't a lot. I'd get like $400. I was working at a convenience store. That's next to nothing. You know what I mean? Like, and that was every week. So I would be like, okay, I'll spend it over the weekend, and I get paid Wednesday. It was a really great setup. But then this new job I was at the time just drops, 2 weeks on you. And I got like $800 and my friend got like $800 and just went ripping and running, So it was such a indiscretion.
Well, you weren't ripping.
No, okay, yeah, let's
Yes, you weren't using.
to strip clubs. That's
Yes. You were basically doing all the activities, just not actually doing the drugs.
That's exactly it. Because when I used to go, so before I was in recovery, there was a time in my life when I was really hard, like the worst summer for use for me. Mm-hmm. And when I was like with a stripper, I would be in strip clubs probably 4 nights out of the week, just being there because like my girl was working, right? Or the girl who pretended to be with me or whatever she did. Anyways, yeah. So, I would do drugs while I was there. I would get drugs from her stripper friends. I would get drugs from patrons. You know what I mean? Like, there's drugs everywhere in a strip club. Just like a bar, if you know who to look for. There's
Yes.
drugs.
Yes, there is.
That was like the summer of 2009. That could be a song. That could be a song.
Mm-hmm. It was the summer of 2009.
That's it. We just wrote that.
That's right. Thank you. I
That's
wrote that.
That's an
Yes,
original.
I wrote that.
It's an original tune. The melody is also original. All right, so you can't relate to that. I feel like you're just on a pedestal right now.
No, not at all. I'm relating. I can relate to the
Sure.
the concept of what you're talking about.
Sure, no, I
Yes.
understand. Isn't it? And again, it's less about the actual action and more about the intent
Yes.
behind it. Why am I going to a strip club? Okay, because when I walk in, you get that like little boost of energy and the excitement. And it's like, oh, who am I going to meet tonight? Ooh, who am I going to spend my money on? You feel important. You get all this attention. Like that's basically what they're selling is just people that pay attention to you.
Pretty much, yeah.
And just, I feel disgusting for this person who's doing this. Anyways, let's move on from that one because that one.
So yeah, what's the next one?
All right,
So what do we got? So
let's
far? Let's recap.
Yeah,
So
let's
we got-
recap real quick because
We got reckless driving, stealing,
yeah,
and strip clubs.
didn't we do another one? No. Okay,
that's
so
it.
that's the third one. So the fourth one, I saved the biggest one for last. I'm sure there's more, but I want to stop here because this one is kind of at the root of all of my friends' problems.
You got to find new friends.
I know this guy's a douche. Anyway, so lying when I don't need to lie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we talked. Yeah, me and you came up with the idea of like, why don't I start with like one person or one like my innermost circle of friends and decide stop lying to these
About it,
people
yes.
or this one person. Be 100% honest with. I tried it. It was hard. It was impossible. I didn't do it. I failed because I've been lying, right? Or had been lying.
To keep those lies.
You got to keep those lies going. So if you all of a sudden become honest, then what you're saying today doesn't match what you said last week, and now you are a liar because which one's true, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Either A, you free yourself from the trap of the lie by coming clean and being honest and just let the chips fall where they may. So don't assume that because I'm going to now tell this person the truth that they're never going to talk to me again. Just let them make that decision, right?
Yes.
Can they forgive me for lying? Everybody lies, okay? But
Some people lie about nothing.
yes.
Like, oh, I love that song.
No, you don't.
No, you really don't.
I've heard it before would probably be a more accurate statement.
And it all, for me, like the whole living in truth thing, because this is a huge one for me.
Yeah.
Because that is the greatest feeling I have right now is I love, and this is why I can sleep good, is it's just so awesome not to have to hold together lies with different people.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can just, everything I say is coming out and it's truthful. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Next time you're asked about it, you will say the same thing
Yes.
because you'll recall what you perceive as the truth of what happened.
It is.
And your truth may be, so if we're in the same situation, I'm sure you know this, 2 weeks from now, we'll both perceive it slightly differently because it's coming from different perspectives, but it's our truth.
Yes.
And that's what you have to kind of think about. That's the whole argument behind truth being relative.
Yes. That's my favorite subject of philosophy, epistemology.
What is truth?
Yes.
Is that what that's called?
Epistemology.
You're so smart, Sean.
The study of knowledge. And that's one of the biggest, one of my favorite philosophical debates. Free will, what is truth, are my top two.
I like the free will one. I like the what is truth one even more because everyone does have their own.
Yeah, we're going down a totally different path, so we're not going to get into that.
We can't.
I was going to say.
We can't.
Yeah, I mean, there's an argument you can argue to the death that something isn't true. Anything. There's there's almost no such thing as an actual truth.
Right, and for
in
example,
its essence, but
when I was in high school, I can't remember what class this was, but like my 12th grade year, I went to a Christian school. The rest of my life, I was like homeschooled. 11th and 12th? No, just my 12th. I can't remember. Doesn't matter. It's not important. 12th grade year, I went to a Christian school. I wasn't homeschooled anymore. And I remember the teacher talking about
the Bible being the absolute truth.
No, well, that was probably hammered into us too, but do elves exist? Because you cannot be in every place, maybe they do. You can't, so it has to be a yes. It can't be a no, right? Because you can't prove it. You can't be in every place at the same time. So it could very well be there. So that's the fallacy of truth. Ooh, the fallacy
But
of truth.
staying on the whole truth thing though.
Yes, let's get back.
Like you find like sometimes you lie about nonsense and there's these two voices in your head if you pay attention. So
Yeah.
speaking of self-awareness, there's these two voices. There's a voice that says something and then there's a voice that observes this. So there's a sayer and a judger.
And a response, yes.
Yes.
A response, yeah. We're all familiar with it. We know
When
that.
you have those two voices agreeing with one another, you are in truth. At least truth is what you know it is.
Agreed.
And that is what I have completely been trying to do. Is so when I say something and the judger in my head agrees with it, then I'm good to go. And it's staying aligned in that path. And then anytime I go outside of that, I feel it. I literally feel the anxiety come on. Oh my God, I'm off course.
You know that's not true.
There's an alarm going off somewhere. And I start losing sleep. I start figuring out, how am I going to get rid of this? What am I going to do? This is anxiety. How am I going to do this? So it's so important to have those two voices align.
How long did it take you to get to a point of that second voice being a real red flag raiser? Hey, this is
where it's an immediate thing?
Yeah, immediate. You had to put in hours of practice, I'm sure, right?
It takes a long time, man. A long time.
How long have you been on the mindfulness path?
7-8 years.
Okay, so you're very advanced.
26. I don't know if I'd say that, but
well,
I've been
I would say
into
that.
it for a long time.
I've only been into it since probably a year.
I'd say when I was 26 years old.
But I love it. It makes so much sense. Just so much sense.
It is, yeah.
To where no other form of spirituality makes any sense to me.
That's right.
So, mindfulness is a form of spirituality, I guess. Is when my first encounter with mindfulness was at Terrace House. I never was presented that as an option.
This time around?
Yeah.
This time around, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was never presented with an option of DBT at Jacasa, and they didn't really name their groups that way either, but they didn't teach it at all. This is the first time that I had started learning about it, and I really latched onto it because it made sense to me. I got the concept of bring yourself into your breathing, because that'll ground you, and put you in the present moment. Because if you're focusing on your breathing, you can't really think of other things. You can to a point, but if you keep bringing yourself back to your breath, eventually you'll get into this state of really feeling present. And then like adding the non-judgmental part of it, the effective part of it, and one mindful part of it. All those things.
It is a beautiful thing.
It is. It comes together, and the book by Eckhart Tolle brings it to a level of spirituality, because at first I viewed it as just like a form of counseling for addiction or mental behaviors that are bad.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, not bad, just are. Right?
Just are.
They're just there. Anyway, but he has the book The Power of Now, and that brings it to a point, and he's very big on like. Have you read that book?
No.
Okay, so in the beginning of the book, but actually I think it's probably like the foreword maybe, he talks about having the spiritual awakening and then going down a path of mindfulness. So he kind of frames it in its own light of spirituality. So as soon as I read that book, I started viewing it not so much as a way to escape my mental issues that cause me to use, but as an actual form of spirituality. And I felt really good about that, because for so long I had struggled with throwing the baby out with the bathwater as far as like religion and spirituality goes.
Mm-hmm.
So that got me kind of back into a place where I could focus or try to focus on walking a semi-spiritual path. I mean, that's hard. It's really hard. You could just wake up one day and be like, I'm going to be spiritual today. But by lunch, you're done. You know what I mean? You're already back into like purchasing things on Amazon.
Funny. It's Alan Watts, one of my favorite philosophers, always discusses how when you are trying to be spiritual, there is no way to actually be spiritual.
Oh.
In the sense of when you're forcing something, when you're doing something like, say, meditate or even prayer, for instance, I'm praying because God wants me to pray, then you're not praying for the right reasons.
Mm.
You know, if you're meditating because I have to meditate, then you're not meditating for the right reasons.
Okay.
So as soon as you're like, and that's the like the little paradox of Zen that I love, is like, as soon as you're free to be stuck or unstuck, you're unstuck. So as soon as you're free to be stopped and controlled by a situation and be able to go free with the situation, you are free of the situation.
That makes sense.
As long as you just let it, you got to let it be.
Yeah, and one thing that stuck out to me in the Power of Now was to take every situation as though you would have chosen that outcome. So if there's I don't know, a situation in your life where you're less than happy about it, right? For instance,
driving recklessly.
Well, driving recklessly, lying all the time.
Mm-hmm.
How about this? Getting caught in a lie, right? So that's embarrassing. Even all of those situations, like it's easy to be like, yeah, I would have chosen this situation when you like win the lotto or something. But in a difficult time, like being put into a group that you don't want to be put into, or like being told that you need to.
All right, here's a great example: being forced to go to a domestic violence class when I have absolutely no violent history and have never even yelled at my girlfriend.
Absolutely.
So here I am in this situation right now. I'm forced to go to this domestic violence class, pay for it every time I go.
That's crazy.
I have no business being there.
They're all like looking at you like they're going to beat you up, probably.
I have no business being in this group.
Yes, act as though you would have chosen to be in that group if you were given the option.
And it's taken me a lot of work to get through the whole ego hurt and everything else to be able to go there and just. But I'm really at the point, especially now that it's not on a night where I hang out with Christine.
That's ironic.
Yes, I finally it was on a night for a while, and I finally was able to get it switched. But now that it's not a night, but I can go there, and you know what? I participate.
Yeah,
I am actually learning things. The lady isn't dumb who runs it. She's not an idiot. She's a very intelligent woman.
Good.
And we've gotten into like psychology of things. We've gotten into forgiveness. We've gotten into so many just different things. How to be better communicator, relationship, and all these other things. And I'm learning from it. As much as I would despise the class, I don't want to be there. So I think that's a perfect example.
Yeah, it is. It really is. So, and the fact that you're now learning, I think, shows that you're accepting the situation and you're able to go with it.
Yes.
If you can also maybe disregard that it's a domestic violence course and just think of it as a place that you need to go to learn. You're not there to be taught how not to beat up your girlfriend. You're there to learn.
Which I'm good until they like specifically mention those things.
Seriously?
To you. Like, how can you handle this with your girlfriend now that you are learning, whatever? How can you take this and apply this to your relationship? It's like,
That's great.
Oh, it just my
So that's
ego,
when you check
I can
out.
feel it. I don't check out, but I can feel my ego just like, ugh,
You're like,
I want to
do
stand
that.
up and be like, I don't belong in this class. Like, how many people have said that to her?
Probably everyone that comes through.
Just like in jail.
God, I didn't do it.
It's just like in jail. Like I didn't even do anything.
Yeah,
I didn't even do it. It wasn't me.
My lawyer's gonna get me out. Anyway, yeah. So I think that's a really good example, and I think so let's bring it back around to the lying thing. Using mindfulness to monitor when I'm lying as like a red flag. Like if I'm starting to tell a lie, immediately calling myself out on it. Like if you ask me, let's go back to the clean time thing. If someone asks me, hey, how long have you been clean? And I say 5.5 years, that's a partial truth, but I neglect to mention there's a relapse in there. So I could be like, in that situation, I could say, okay, well, 5.5 years. And then I could just say, wait, you know what? I do have to clarify.
This 5.5 years.
This 5.5 years is like a conglomerate effort of multiple different years.
It includes from the ages of 3 to 10 as well.
Dude, there was a guy in Tara's house that did that. He was counting the time from like 0 to 16 when he didn't drink. So he's like, I got 16.5 years.
That is awesome.
It is. So he was going up to get like multiple year coins and stuff. Such an idiot. Funny guy, though. Anyway, so yeah, Colin, and that was something that my counselor at Horizon had mentioned. Like, maybe instead of just trying not to lie, let it happen and then call yourself out on it and correct it. That way, it still feels probably a little bit embarrassing, but you kind of get ahead of it. Like,
well, that's the biggest thing. Speaking of the whole, obviously we've been talking about addictive behaviors and everything else, and the first thing, I actually literally had a friend who did relapse, or some people, this is a big debate, but lapsed.
Yeah, but that's a whole thing.
Let's not get into that debate. No. We're not.
We can do another
But he used one night, and I told him, I was like, dude, you need to tell your counselor, you need to tell your recovery coach, you need to tell whoever it is. You started by telling me, and that's awesome, but you need to tell other people.
Yeah. And otherwise it becomes, okay, I got away with that.
Okay, let me do it again.
Everything's still
I got away with it 3 more times now.
Right. And now you're
because he was freaking out because the house was the meeting night. He could be getting toxed. There's so many problems that could have came from it.
But he was good.
He was good.
Long story short,
that's right. Good. Yes. And he's still, as far as I know.
So then the last thing I want to say about the lying, that hurt to watch. Seriously, dude. Anyway,
it wasn't that bad.
Anyway, the lying. So the last thing I want to say, I totally lost my point. I had a great point.
Oh, I'm sorry. What were we just discussing? The whole saying, getting ahead of yourself.
Right.
You still don't have it, huh?
Hold on. You gotta get ahead of it. It's embarrassing. No, it's not there.
It's not there anymore.
It's gone.
All right. Well, next week on Room 9.
Sorry, folks. You would have had a great point there. I guarantee it would have been great. The best part of this episode, but you missed out because I forgot it. My bad. I don't know if that's a good place to stop. We could go on for hours, literally, about addictive behaviors. There's, obvious ones, and then there's subtle ones. And I think the subtle ones are the ones that are going to really come and bite you in the ass
when they start building up.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And for me, another one is, and this I think goes along the lines more of like knowing now how to know I'm in relapse mode. So it's not really an addictive behavior, but becoming complacent. And not in recovery, just in life in general.
Yeah.
Like at work, for instance, if I'm like not really chasing that next step, because that's what motivates me at work, is just for some reason I'm like addicted to getting promoted, and I want that next like title so that everyone can look at me and be like, oh, look at Matt, he's so great, I'm going to be him. But nobody ever does that. I just think they do. Anyway, so yeah, like at work, if I'm just all of a sudden like sitting back on my accomplishments and not trying to form any new accomplishments or not trying to beat last month's goal or whatever, you know what I mean? Like not trying to continuously better myself and be a better performer or whatever, complacency breeds relapse.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what had happened to me, when I relapsed before. I got complacent and then I fell into this hole of depression that was just for months, dude. I think it went on for
Well,
a
you start
year.
feeling like crap about yourself. There's people, you can pick them out, especially in the whole Oxford House community, who sit on their ass all day. Don't work. They
Yeah.
don't do nothing. You can barely get them to do your chore. And he's, this person, you lay around all day with Netflix, whatever it is,
Whatever
TV,
you're watching, literally, that's it. You only get up to go get food
and go to the bathroom
and sleep.
And it's just like you cannot feel good about yourself. I mean, I would have had to go get a job months if I wasn't working full time on a podcast.
Right, yeah.
Because you just start feeling like, oh, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah, seriously. You're absolutely right about that.
So complacency is definitely a huge one.
Huge one. I don't know if you have any that you want to talk about before we close out.
No, I think, honestly, the biggest one for me is complacency. And the other one would be doing something productive where I feel like I am fulfilling some kind of purpose almost, I guess. I don't know if purpose is even the word, but like for me, it's like I need to be doing something where I'm helping people. Like going to working a full-time job, 60 plus hours a week, busting my ass, doesn't make me feel any better if that job isn't something that I am appreciative of,
Right.
and I'm getting something out of and growing as a human
Like if
being.
you're in a manufacturing plant screwing tops on
Yeah.
toothpastes.
I mean, even like, for instance, now I was in a kitchen. I've been in a kitchen my whole life, and I'm like starting to get so sick of the nights, the hours, the no money. I'm with a human being now that I want to be around outside of here, and I'm living with her, and I want to be around her, and I want to spend time with her. We have opposite schedules. It sucked. So I thought, all right, well, I have this new opportunity, completely different, field of work, cutting and binding area rugs.
Really?
But it's Monday through Friday, 7 to 4. I get, some paid vacations and shit like that. And
you
yet,
get just area right.
after a month of that, I felt like crap. I'm going to work. What am I doing with my
Really?
life? What am I doing?
I felt like that at probably every job in my entire life.
Yeah,
Because
and I can't do it.
once you become like a small cog in the machine of the economy, you realize you're completely replaceable. You're totally expendable. Like if you didn't show up tomorrow, everything would still function normally. So that gives you a low sense of self-worth if you're putting a lot of your self-worth in your work. And that's where I think these nonprofits spring up from is people wanting to do something that they're passionate about,
Where
something they like
feel
doing.
good about themselves.
Right,
Like
and
I
like-
helped somebody today.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Or whatever it might be for that person. I think that's the biggest one because that's an easy one to put your finger on. But maybe there's somebody out there who just loves to crunch data. You know what I mean? That's what they do. They go to work and they crunch data and they love it. Or coding, you know what I mean? Or maybe there's people that love talking on the phone and doing customer service because they are helping people, and they have conversations all day and they like to talk. Like, whatever it is, you got to find that for yourself because if you have a job that will allow you to become easily complacent, you're at risk.
Very much so.
Really examining what you're doing and understanding, okay, is this a temporary job to generate income, or is this a job that I want that's really my career and I'm going to do it for the rest of my life?
Yeah.
There's only two possibilities there.
And that's where, like I said, I'm comfortable now where I can go work in a pizzeria right now. As long as I keep doing this podcast.
Right. So this is what really matters. The pizzeria is just to pay the rent.
And to be able to produce money for, I do have a little bit of actual income, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I've noticed
from
that.
the actual podcast
I was
now,
thinking about that today.
which is pretty sweet
It is.
considering I've only been doing this since late October.
And you've really only been asking for like donations since
for
like
2 months,
January,
maybe?
February. Yeah, it hasn't been.
Yeah, it hasn't been long at all.
Not at all. So there's going to come a point when this becomes, self-sustaining and you can pull a salary out and just do this.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, it will be.
That would be amazing. That's right.
That is right. I don't have
And that's what,
anything else.
but that's what keeps me going,
Good. And I really like co-hosting occasionally because it gets me going in the direction of recovery.
That's what I told people, like, this podcast, I tell everybody, if I stop doing this podcast, that's a big sign of something's going on.
Yeah. Unless you have a really good, legitimate reason, like all my equipment got stolen and
Yes, well,
I got
obviously.
killed.
But, yeah, if I stop doing this, that's it. Because I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to 6 meetings a week.
Me neither.
And I'd have to be doing something where my recovery is, like, front of my mind.
Yeah,
So,
you're right. You are right.
but,
my
yeah.
friend.
All right, well, that's an hour.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to stop. Thanks for stopping by, San Diego.
Stay classy,
But
Buffalo.
mostly stay classy.
and whoever else is listening to this. 2 listeners and 4 in India.
Oh,
2 in Australia.
fantastic.
Where else were there? There's some other cool.
Wow.
India, Australia, UK.
That's an impact.
It's pretty awesome looking at that on Google
Yeah,
Analytics.
well, in the Facebook thing where it was room 9 affected how 100 or it was a larger number than that. It was the weeks, just a quick report.
Yeah,
That's really cool too, because then it's wow, this is making a difference for sure.
Sweet. All right. Well, that was a good one.
Yep, that's all.
All right.
Bye.
Well, that's all, folks. All right, guys. Thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. I did realize as I was editing this episode that we had quite a good time. There's some good stuff in there, but Jamus and I had some good laughs as well, joking around and goofing. So it was a nice break from some of the sad ones that we've had in the past. Not that those have been bad. Those have been some of the best ones, but sometimes it's good to have some uplifting laughter going on as well. Thank you for listening. As always, you guys are the best. Room9podcast.com. Go to our support page to help us out financially to spread this message. Go to our contact page, fill out a contact form, read our blogs, whatever else you want to do. Just give us some feedback, people. I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you think about the show, even things that you think might make it better. I'm totally down for that. So until next week, enjoy your week. Get caught up on old episodes if you haven't listened to them. And I will talk to you guys later on. Bye-bye.